Hello my friends, welcome to FHP Books. I am Felix, the author of a series of books about cinema, and today I would like to talk to you about one of my first books, one of the first books I published in 2019, and it's about the character Zatoichi. Zatoichi is the protagonist of a series of Japanese chanbara movies, Japanese samurai films that were made in the 60s and 70s, and also one of them, the last one with Shintaro Katsu, with the main actor, in the end 80s. It's a series of, I think, 25 movies about this character, about this Zatoichi, which I would like to talk to you about today. Zatoichi is the blind swordsman. Is a blind swordsman whose adventures are based in the Tokugawa shogunate, Japan. At the end of this Tokugawa shogunate, the Tokugawa shogunate was the times where Japan was closed to the outer world. The Japanese society was organized as follows. There was the shogun. The shogun was a kind of military dictator of the country. He was the political main figure in the country. There was also the emperor, but the emperor, he had not political power as such. He was just a symbolic figure, and the shogun was the actual military power, the actual political power of the country. And then the country was divided into different samurai clans, and each samurai clan, the samurais were the aristocratic warriors, and the daimyo was the chief of a samurai clan. The daimyo was the chief of the samurai clan. So the hierarchical structure of the Japan of these times was in the first place the shogun. He was the military chief, the military commander of the country, the political main figure of the country. Then there was the daimyos. The daimyos were the chiefs of the samurai clans. Then were the samurai, which were the aristocratic warriors. Daimyo was a kind of lord. Then was the samurai. There were the aristocratic warriors, and afterwards there came the people, the normal people, which also were structured into different professions. For instance, the artisans, also the peasants, and so on. And Zatoichi, the protagonist of these stories, he's outside. He's an outsider. He's not a part of this structure, because he's like a pariah. He's not a part of a concrete caste, of a concrete group. He's an outsider. He's a lower caste, or better, a lower caste, because he's blind. And he's like a vagabond. He's somebody who is always running from one place to the other. He has no specific home. He has no specific place to stay. He's always going from one place to the other. He's traveling around Japan. He's traveling all around his country, and he is a massagist. As he is blind, his other senses are very well developed, and he also has, of course, a very, very developed hearing sense. He can listen, he can hear everything very good. In a game of dice, he is able to know what number the dice have, just because of the sound of falling and so on. So he is very, very well trained in that, and he's also a very good warrior with his sword. He's able to use his sword. He travels with a cane sword. It's like a cane. Like a blind man. From the outside, from an outsider perspective, he looks like a vagabond, like an blind man who walks with his cane, and he is not able to see anything. But in reality, he has a sword in his cane. He walks with his cane, and when he encounters some enemies, some difficulties, some aggressors, he is able to defend himself very good, because he can use his sword as an extension of his own body. He is a perfect swordsman because he has developed this faculty. He hears where his enemies are, so he's he's able to defend himself against them if somebody attacks him. So he is a peaceful man, he is a good man, a good soul, a kind soul, but he's also able to kill everybody who attacks him. No? He can defend himself, and he's like also, he has a very developed sense of justice, and he wants to protect the poor people, he wants to protect the widows, the orphans, the poor people, and so on. And in his adventures, he encounters always some situations where he will defend the poor people from the aggressors, from some yakuza gangsters. So these are the main stories, so to say, the stories of this character, Zatoichi. He originally is the protagonist of these novels I told you about, by writer Kanshi Mosawa, and these novels were adapted to the big screen, were adapted to cinema in the 60s by, among others, great director Kenji Mizumi. Kenji Mizumi is a very fascinating director, a very great Japanese director. Everybody knows Akira Kurosawa, but there are also, in the Japanese chanbara cinema, there are also other great filmmakers like Kenji Mizumi, who directed the first movie about Zatoichi, Zatoichi's Tale, Zatoichi Monogatari in Japanese, is the first of these 24-25 movies starring Shintaro Katsu. And in this story is still black and white. The first story is still black and white. It's from the 60s, and afterwards there came also some color films, color movies, with Zatoichi as a protagonist, with this great actor, kabuki actor Shintaro Katsu, who he was from a kabuki actor family, and he was specialized in these chanbara films. Chanbara is the Japanese samurai films, and Shintaro Katsu was not his real name. Shintaro Katsu was a pseudonym, was his artist name, and he has also a brother. He had a brother who's known as Tomisaburo Wakayama, and Tomisaburo Wakayama was also a great Japanese chanbara actor who starred, for instance, the Lone Wolf and Cub saga, of which also have published a book. You can also find my book about Lone Wolf and Cub, which is also published in the times where I published my Zatoichi book, because I have published these reviews. I have originally I had a blog in my native language, which is Spanish. I had a blog in Spanish where I published all these movie reviews that I have been writing, because I love cinema, and I love in particular these old school vintage movies, these cult movies from the 60s, from the 70s, among them these Japanese chanbara films, and I enjoy them very much. So I have been writing about these movies since 2006, 2007, more or less. And later I started a Spanish blog, my Spanish blog in my native language. And afterwards I made compilations of my books. And among other books, I have published one of this Zatoichi character and one of Lone Wolf and Cub. You can find them both in my Amazon author page. And I published them in Spanish originally, and I also translated them into English, so you can find them as well in English. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you some next time. Goodbye.